One of the dangers of being a commentator is that it's very easy to slip into the role of a cynic. It's easy to focus on the problems that gaming has with regards to religion and moral elements, even more so as a Catholic since we have such visible elements that are often strawmanned and parodied. I've been looking over my last videos, and while the negative things we have talked about need to be talked about, I think it's time to balance the scales a bit. It's time to talk about elements of religion or morality that I found done well in games. Accentuate the positive. Now, just to be clear, I don't have any specific elements in mind for this video, just particular points of religious or moral elements that I found to be well done in certain games. Qualities that deserve to be highlighted and recognized, and yes, more of that please.
The Dragon Age series.
Now wait just a minute, the crowd cried in unison. Didn't you just trash the games in your last video? Shut up. Shut up. While it is true that the series has some serious flaws with its presentation of religion, there are some aspects that are done really well. In fact, I go so far to say that the presentation of several key characters that make up the Chantry's roster is some of the most nuanced and fair presentations of characters I've seen in games. In the first game, the Chantry is presented generally as a force for good. The Chantries, the buildings of worship found in the game, routinely house refugees. Some of the optional quests the Chantry posts are good deeds that the Chantry asks to be done and will compensate on behalf of the people in need. And the Templar Order is often on the front lines against the Darkspawn, the fantasy zombies of the games. My personal favorite from the first game is the complicated friendship between Knight Commander Gregor and First Enchanter Irving. For reference, in the Dragon Age world, Templars are responsible for making sure that if a mage becomes possessed to, take care of them. When you first encounter Gregor in the Mage Tower quest, he is resolved to do his duty and purge the Tower of Mages because so many of them are possessed by demons. But he is reluctant and seems desperate for a solution. When you rescue the mages that aren't possessed and defeat the threat, Gregor appears to be genuinely relieved that Irving is alive and well. It shows that these two have mutual respect for each other and possibly are even friends despite the naturally contentious relationship between Templar and Mage. Also worth noting is that the lore of the game sets the tone for the entire theming in the series. The creation of the world in Dragon Age starts with war and continues throughout its history. The Blight, or war against the Darkspawn that the player participates in, is part of the much larger history of the world. This is World of War, son, and you've been drafted. Finally, in Dragon Age 2, the Chantry is intentionally or not the last voice of reason in the city of Kirkwall, on the brink of war between the Mages and Templars. The Reverend Mother in particular refuses to choose sides, insisting that both factions come to a mutual accord. The destruction of the Chantry, the city, signals the beginning of the war. Really, how often do you see a religious figure being the thing that holds everything together in games? Yeah, I thought not.
The Legend of Zelda series.
The Zelda series has offered some fantastic adventuring over the years. There has been some discussion about the quality of the gameplay in recent iterations. But if there's one thing that I feel the games have improved on over the years, it's the story. The symbolism in the games have evolved over the years, but the consistency of the themes have always been in place. The Triforce, the symbol of the gods, is the most recurrent and one of the most recognizable symbols in gaming, and the importance of this item resonates throughout the series. Every building, every piece of significant equipment, anything of importance has this symbol or some variation of it, and there's a very good reason for this. The symbol on these items shows the subtle blessing of the goddesses, quote-unquote. They are, in a way, giving Link, dare I say it, grace to overcome evil. The almost Christian theming in the games isn't an accident. In fact, according to the Legend of Zelda wiki, the original faith, or religion in the background of the game was Christianity before the introduction of pantheism. There is even a subtle way that the games communicate moral philosophy using the Triforce. The three pieces of the Triforce are named Power, Wisdom, and Courage, and the interplay of who possesses these elements illustrates the moral philosophy. Link the hero possesses courage, Zelda the princess possesses wisdom, and Ganon the villain possesses power. The story of the games typically plays out with Ganon capturing Zelda, but Link with Zelda's help defeats Ganon. The allegory is somewhat obvious but not stated. Power apart from wisdom and courage corrupts. Wisdom without courage is helpless against power. Same with courage. But wisdom and courage can overcome power. And all three? Well, that's godlike power, yo. Apart from the Triforce itself, the symbolism employed in the games is fairly consistent with Christian symbolism. In A Link to the Past, the safe house for Zelda in the first act is clearly a church, and the elder a priest. A pentagram at the entrance to a dungeon was visible but removed for American audiences. Even the concept of destiny in Zelda games is almost Christian in its nature. While Link is the hero of destiny, it's always his choice to be so. The games always have a moment where Link embraces his destiny by choice. And lately the games have contextualized these choices even further, by showing Link saving people or accomplishing more immediate objectives, eventually growing into the role of the hero. All in all, I've yet to hate a Zelda game for this reason. The story themes and depth only continue to increase. I know a lot of gamers have had some issues with design decisions over the years, but in terms of moral theming and storyline, the Zelda series continues to be top-notch.
Papers, please.
Papers, please may be stretching things a bit. While technically what I want to highlight isn't religious in nature or directly about morality, the subtlety of the moral choices in this game warrant special mention. You are a nameless bureaucrat in a fictional country that is eerily close to a post-communist country. Your job is to staff an immigration post and examine the immigration papers of people attempting to enter the country. You decide if they can enter based on the validity of papers. Or do you? One of the moral tensions in the game is the moral dilemmas that the game tends to throw at you. A couple comes in, one who has valid papers, one who does not. Do you let the one who does not in? If you do, you get a citation. These decisions are made against the pressure of the clock. You get paid for how many people you process and how accurate you are. And you have a family to feed and to keep warm, so deductions might mean you go without food or medicine for that day. It also engages issues of security and politics in such a way that is not ideological. The amount of work you have to do increases over time and is caused by events such as economics and terrorist attacks. It engages a delicate balance between immigration freedom and the responsibility of government to secure the safety of its citizens. All in all, a very well done game if, immigration proceedings rock your socks. These are just a few examples of games doing things right. I'm sure there are others worth considering. And even games that don't do these things well have moments that make it less worse. Like in The Witcher 2, where it's mentioned that a priest is killed defending mental asylum inmates from exploitation. There's a lot of good to mine and highlight in games. And it's important that we don't get discouraged even when presented with what could be considered a general hostility to religion in games. And the hope is that we can continue to do this in the future. That's all for now. Thank you, and I'll see you next. Whoa, hold on a sec there, you awesome dude. If you play games and want to connect to a growing community of Catholic gamers or interested in becoming either a Catholic or a gamer, please sign up and join the Catholic Discord channel. The link will be in the description field of this video. Who was that handsome devil? Alright, I'm done here. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.